Identify and book the world's best speakers for your next event. MENA Speakers is the leading speakers and MC bureau in the Middle East. We bring global talent to the region and have established the region as a key global hub for speakers. Inspire and motivate your audience. Find exactly what you are looking for by working closely with us to assist you in understanding the cost-benefit analysis tied to selecting a speaker for any event. Ensure that your audience is educated, engaged, and empowered. Connect with us for a quick response and tailored advice. Book your speakers now.
Do you have an all-star HR team? You may feel your team is already performing at a high level, but let's take a closer look. Would your company's top leaders and employees agree that your HR team are operating at a high level? Are team members able to influence top executives on difficult topics? Are team members' business and strategy focused on the challenges the organization is facing? Does the executive team trust your direct reports as advisors on human capital issues? If you can answer yes to these questions, you have built an outstanding team. If you feel there is room for improvement, Strategy Focused Group can create a custom development program to elevate the quality of your HR team. We use HCI certification programs as well as non-certified HRBP MBA Masterclass to give your team a laser focus on the business and strategy. Please email us at info@strategyfocusedgroup.com.
Good morning, good evening, depending upon what part of the world you're in. If it's Friday, you know it's the CEO series, where we interview global leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, disruptors, innovators. Our esteemed guest today is an international marketing leader, strategist, social media expert who has led social engagement efforts for a range of organizations from Southwest Airlines, the American Red Cross, SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management, Kroger, major grocery chain, and Weber Grills. Oh my God, Weber Grills, I just get thoughts when I hear about that. He's currently the head of global social engagement for 23andMe, and we'll talk about that a little later. And in that role, he and his team are creating and implementing strategies to engage audiences through social and other channels. His expertise has been featured in a range of media outlets, including Forbes magazine, Forbes.com, Wall Street Journal, MSNBC, Mashable, and the Next Web. And with that, I welcome the esteemed Curtis Midkiff. My man, how are you?
What's going on, Ron? It's a pleasure to be up with you this morning, and I apologize to your viewers in advance. I don't apologize for it, but part of my brand is my kids, and my wife is doing a great job of finalizing that. But if you see a little person under 5 feet running the screen, just say hi. They're lovable and cute, and it's all good. But it's a pleasure to be here with you, Ron. You know how much I respect and admire you and have followed your career for a long time. So it's just great to be on the show with you today.
Well, that's a mutual admiration because I've also done the same for you from your side. You've had an amazing career. I mean, starting from, coming out of university and going through and working for all these major brands. Walk us through your career.
Yeah, I'll be quick about it. I mean, I think my career's had three acts, if you will, professionally. So when I got out of college, I had the pleasure of working at Black America's Political Action Committee, which was a startup at the time. And so working with one of my mentors, Alvin Williams, for 9 years, we had a small staff but a big impact. So what I was able to do is kind of get all that foundational marketing and PR, traditional marketing and writing and all those different things and really get a foundation. Act 2 was as an entrepreneur. So I had a boutique marketing agency from 2005 to 2010. And one of the key things in that was that we were right at the cusp when the digital transformation was beginning. Where we were going from kind of one-way communication to interactive communication. Facebook was just starting. You had to have a .edu. But we were just starting we were actually streaming as well back then. If you can imagine streaming when the bandwidth was say hi to the CEO series.
Hello. How are you?
All right. Have a great day. Say have a great day.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye.
I'm talking to my dad.
Okay. So, you know, and so that was, the transformation was happening. And so what's interesting is it's interesting she came here at that moment. Act 3 was actually kind of precipitated by like changes in my personal life. So I had met my wife, who's going to become, I didn't know she was going to become my wife yet, but I knew she was special.
I think that's the way it works. All right.
Yeah. You never know. So, but I needed a lifestyle kind of transformation from kind of running an agency and all the, everything and the travel and things like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to plug into corporate, but I still had an entrepreneurial spirit, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
And so social media was something that was emerging.
Yeah.
And I saw an opportunity, and it's been an amazing journey from, I can quickly go through that real quick. So I plugged in at the right time, 2010, and I got to plug in at SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management.
Okay.
That was just a great place to plug in because what they were trying to do at that time was get HR professionals to think differently about social media.
Yeah.
At the time, HR professionals were really kind of scared about social because it was
head down. Yeah,
head down was like, they were concerned about employees wasting time on Facebook, and so we transformed that, and then went to American Red Cross where I got that crisis management. Learned from a lot of people. And then Southwest, just is amazing culture, amazing brand. Spent 4 years there, and then went to the nation's largest grocery retailer, who knew we were going to have a pandemic. And so being there at that time was really interesting. And then Weber Grills, got a chance to spend a little time there, and now 23andMe. So it's been an amazing journey. I'm in Act 3 and I'm loving it.
Yeah. Well, the Weber Grill things, because I consider myself as a grill master.
Okay. All right.
And when I saw that you were there, I'm like, man, that's got to be the greatest job in the world. I mean, specifically for people that grill or cook outside. I put it like that.
Oh, it was great. I mean, I enjoyed my time there. Like, that was one of the things, even though we were in the pandemic, we were starting to come back a little bit. And so I got to spend a little bit of time. Like, some of my favorite times there was we were actually starting to test streaming, and so I got to spend some time with the grill masters in their kind of lab there.
Okay.
And the best part about that is when we wrapped, it's like we got to eat the food that was there. So you got to sit there for like 30 minutes and watch them prepare, and then they would kind of wrap. And then, but no, great company, great people there, and like, yeah, you're right. Like I learned a little bit. I'm not as good as I'd like to be, but I learned a little bit to be a little better.
Okay. So, it sounds like building blocks, like one thing kind of led into the other career wise.
Yeah.
And, as you climb that ladder, you pick a little from here, a little from here, a little from here. So could that be kind of a career kind of thought process that people will take things from one job to the other job and try and grow in each one?
Yes. I think in every part of your career, no matter what stage of your career, you learn. Like, you should always be in a position to learn, because there are things, companies are different, brands are different.
Yeah.
So like, one of the things that my career has helped, particularly in the social space, working at now my 6th brand, I've been able to develop what my approach to social strategically is. So like, I started to see the things that go across. So while every brand had a different complete approach to social, what I now see, like, content and community makes sense. And so what you're able to do is kind of like test things in different verticals and test things and learn, okay, this works here, this doesn't work here. And I think the other thing you take are the relationships and networks. And so there are people that I've met 2 jobs ago that maybe at that particular time, their company or their platform wasn't a fit, but we had a conversation. Maybe 2 jobs later, I'm like, oh man, that platform would be perfect, or that person I met 2 years ago might be great for my team. Like, so it's kind of like building. We'll talk about this, I know, Ron, but like, it's kind of like building your personal brand through these experiences. Is really key.
Okay, so that takes me to my other question. You said build your personal brand. I told someone, I said, do you ever consider yourself as a brand? They said, oh no, I hate that analogy. I said, but think of this: when someone sees you coming, or someone sees that email, right away there's a picture that presents itself as to who you are beyond the name piece. So what you're saying is that our career, our personal brand is as important as the brand of an organization.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, it's It's very important because you think about it, and here's the way for those that are on the fence about thinking. It's not about being arrogant and thinking of yourself as a brand, but like if people didn't think of themselves as a brand, LinkedIn wouldn't be as popular as it is.
Exactly.
Because what people don't understand is like how they approach LinkedIn is you're sharing brand updates when you get a new position, when you have something to say, you're sharing like thought leadership. So when you think about a brand, like what determines the valuation of a brand? What determines the valuation of a brand is, what's the unique brand proposition? What's the unique thing they do in the marketplace? The unique problem they solve. You have unique experiences and skills as part of your brand. You think about the brand values. You have values. You have experiences, and so like I think, when you look at an executive getting hired, right, Ron? Like when you look at an executive getting hired, break down the release that comes out when they get hired. They talk about, we're excited to onboard X person. They just came from here where and over their career, they have been responsible for the transformative impacts of all these. That's a brand. And so it helps you. People only think of themselves as a brand when they're looking for a job. That's the thing, because you get your resume together, you get all that's when you're pitching, you're selling yourself. But within a company, you're a brand, because I try to be, my brand within companies, I try to be somebody who brings creative energy. I try to be somebody where you leave a call and you think you can run through a wall if you work on my team. And I try to be a person who's always can be looked to take thinking another way. So I think if more people thought about themselves as brands, not just in the job search process, they would also, last thing, Ron, they would invest in their brand.
Exactly.
So just like a brand invests in equipment or people, you can invest in yourself as a brand by getting skills, by expanding your network, like all those different things. So that's how I've approached it, and I try to like tell people at all stages of their career that that's a great way to approach it.
I think it's a great way to approach it because it pulls people back to think about, what are you putting out there? I'm saying putting out there as it relates to social. You'll meet someone and you'll look on their LinkedIn profile and it hasn't been up. They don't do any updates. Right. They just it's kind of like going to a graveyard. You read a tombstone, born on this date, died on this date. Right. And so what happens between that? Can you give us a little more about that?
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Like, I think, not to promote a certain platform, but like LinkedIn, one of the things I liked about what LinkedIn has done is like the knock on LinkedIn would have been like, okay, if I don't have this level of job or this level of, if I don't have something to announce to the world, or I want to market myself for a job role, I have nothing of value to contribute to the platform. Yes. But now, LinkedIn allows you to share, you share thoughts and share things that are not even like your original thoughts, but like an article you may have seen that inspired you. The other thing I like to do on LinkedIn, to be quite candid, is like, I like to congratulate people for what they're doing. And just, there are people who are like second and third connections, and I'll see it because maybe, Ron, you liked it. I may not even have met this person, but I'm excited about what they're doing.
Exactly.
And so I think that, you have to really take time. And I think the other thing that I would advise, especially, this next generation of folks that are going to become executives and things, who grew up as digital natives, the one thing about the branding is that the other platforms do contribute to your brand as well.
Yeah.
Like, right. if you're going to be excelling a certain way, you want to look at all these platforms as part of your brand. It's kind of like with an athlete. There's on the court and off the court. So like for people's brands, like LinkedIn's like they're on the court brand. So they're like, oh, let me, but then off the court, Instagram and they're on TikTok doing crazy things. Like, that doesn't make a cohesive personal brand.
Exactly. In other words, weaving all of it together, and that. Yes. So if you weave all of that together, what's coming out is what you want to come out.
Exactly.
In that way.
Exactly. Exactly. Because there's, just like if you're going to go this personal brand route, there are brand guidelines and there's a brand messaging, so you got to, keep that consistent, because you never know where people are going to connect with you.
Yeah. I think that's extremely important. And when so we think of marketing as a business and as the people that's communicating outside the external piece and doing that. And it's the same concept of coming back, because as I mentioned earlier, I know people that basically don't do anything to that. And then when they call me up and they say they're looking for something, they want to move beyond this, or could I do this? And I look at their brand.
Right.
I'm saying, when I say their brand, their LinkedIn profile, and there's nothing there. I said, you don't have anything there to even cause someone to even think about interesting person, interesting insights. I like the comment. There's nothing, there's no footprint.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. It's like, my godson was going to transfer from playing football at Eastern Washington he wanted to transfer to Morehouse.
Yeah.
To play ball. And so we were trying to figure out, ways to get him in front of the coaches and things like that. And the first thing I said was like, send me your tape, send me and he was able to do it. And so we were able to send the highlights over, and they connected, and now he's playing over there.
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing, Ron, like LinkedIn is your game tape, where it's like, give me something to look at, because LinkedIn kind of chronicles your journey along the way.
Yeah.
And then, the people and I mean, most of the jobs that I think, and I think that this isn't breaking news, but I think it's something that people needed. Like, when you get to a certain point in your career, you want to show up. It's almost like your personal SEO.
Yeah.
Like, you can go the one route of applying directly and then but most times at certain levels, they're active recruiters who are looking for people, and they're using LinkedIn, obviously. And so you got to have that personal SEO. So you pop up, somebody types in marketing executive, social media, boom, 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 this area, this level of experience. Like, you want to pop to the top of that, because you want to at least get that conversation. You still got to apply. You still got to interview. You still got to show your qualifications. But like, you want to have an advantage over the thousands of other people by, people actually seeing you and saying, this is somebody that would be a great fit for our organization.
Yeah. That reminds me of, you said, send me some tape. So someone reached out to me the other day. They were trying to get a role speaking at a major conference in Dubai. And he said, can you make me a recommendation? He said, because the gentleman asked for tape and I don't have any tape. And I said, I find that a little strange. I said, you've been MC at conferences all over the world. We worked together in Europe.
Right.
We worked together at so many conferences. Either I was the MC and you don't have tape?
Right.
Well, no, I never really gave any thought to that. I said, hire someone next time you go speak someplace and have them to shoot a tape. I said, because otherwise, I said, I will more than gladly, I will do it. So I sent a note to the person. This was a huge conference.
Yeah. And
the gentleman said, Ron, if you recommended them, okay, the deal is done. I'll take care of that. But I use that as a teaching moment to him. Now, I want to contrast that to a young lady in Dubai. She's one of the first air traffic controllers.
Okay.
Arabic young lady, but amazing personality. It just exudes that confidence. I got her a speaking role at a conference that I was going to be the MC.
Okay.
And she came there and she introduced me to, I went over and we introduced, hugged, and the whole thing. And she said, this is my videographer. He's going to shoot my, and I'm thinking, 25, 26, you're thinking of this? I said, you got it. You understand it. You will go from here as a result of that. Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, you have to think that way. And it's like one of the great things I'm glad we're talking about is like people transforming the way they think of themselves. And as a brand, and as brands create, in my job, one of my primary deliverables to 23andMe is content strategy.
Yeah.
And so that's for a global brand, 23andMe. My personal brand, that's one area I think we all can get better at. Just like making sure that we are creating content and keeping an archive and being able to really, put that out there on a consistent basis so people can really get to know us. And you're right, opportunities opportunities open. And I'm sure, Ron, as you said that, a lot of speakers who are on this podcast are like making some edits because they're like, Ron, can you get me to Dubai as well on the stage? So if you take anything else from this, get a tape, get it to Ron.
Yeah.
If it's good, you might be able to be on those stages that he's on.
Yeah, because I've got numerous tapes. It just depends upon which one I'm going to send out to you,
right.
As the situation requires that.
Right, exactly.
So, as you have built your career to this level, in marketing, what advice would you give an entry-level marketing person that's starting from square one and maybe being in this job and hating the job, being in this job, loving the job? What career advice would you give them?
First, I think the thing is never confine your thinking of who you are to the job you currently are in.
Okay.
Now, I want to be clear and make a distinction about it. It doesn't mean you're at one job dreaming about another job, because there's a lot of growth that occurs within a company if you continue to add value. But this is a new era. Like for those coming into, it's knowing your brand's value. One of the things, you might be a junior marketing person, right? But if you plug in and listen, if you're a junior marketing person, right? So that's your title. So that's just for HR purposes and benefits and those things.
Yeah.
But then you're at a company. Every company around this world is trying to better understand Gen Zs.
Yes.
So you're sitting there and you're like, well, I'm just a associate manager of marketing. I'm not the CMO. But then you're listening to the strategy of your company and they're saying, for this company to survive, we need to tap into TikTok and millennials and Gen Z. Yeah. And you're sitting in the room, and most times in those conversations, and I know because I readily admit I have a team that we're building at 23andMe that's much more plugged into what's happening from a content perspective on certain platforms. I'm more on the strategy side.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in that meeting. If you're thinking of yourself as your position as what it is, then you're not going to contribute to that meeting. But if you're saying, look, this is the role that I'm in this company because this is the role they had.
Yes.
But you're thinking, how can I add more value? Then you start raising your hand and saying, well, what's happening with TikTok because I follow the lines become great because then your executives are listening. So my advice to these folks is like, things have changed now. Like companies really in the marketing space, they want new ideas. They want to connect with younger audiences. So you're understanding that when you sit in that room, you're not just sitting there as the position, but you're sitting in there. Your personal brand is, you are a Gen Z. You are on TikTok. You are on Snapchat. You are on places that your brand is trying to go. And so I think that's the advice that I would give to these folks of like, take advantage of that in a good way. And also tap into folks to learn what you don't know about like the corporate environment. The way that influence works in companies and those things, get a mentor within the company to help you navigate how to succeed within that company, but then also know your worth and know your value and know that no matter what role you have in the company, a lot of times they're not hiring you. The role they hire you for is a budget and HR decision. Yeah. Because they have to, when you've been in HR a long time, around there's levels and budgets, hiring freezes, and things like that. So they just want to get you in the fold. And if it's a smart company, they identify you and say, well, we got to get them in now. It's like the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors. Like they keep stacking up. They got the Splash Brothers and everything like that. But if there's a free agent out there, they may say, look, we don't have a starting role for you right now. Yeah, but you're an amazing talent. Can you come play on this championship team and learn from Steph and Clay and Draymond? Yeah, a little less from Draymond, but you learn from there, and we're gonna have you starting in 2-3 years. So it's so then you sit there and you're like, okay, I'm learning, and when I get in the game, I'm gonna hit the shot, I'm gonna play defense. So it's just really when the moment arrives, yeah, I'm gonna be there to contribute to a championship team, and they remember that when it's time to elevate your opportunity or extend your contract or whatever it is. So that brings into play influencing skills. Sitting in that meeting and being comfortable in offering insight. Yeah.
Because so many times you have these young people that are brilliant, but they're a little kind of, I don't want to say afraid. They're maybe afraid to speak up, maybe afraid to offer their insights. It's kind of like you sit in a room and someone says, I have a dumb question. I really don't know what to ask. And I always say, there's no such thing as a dumb question, because 9 other people in the room had the same thought. And they didn't have the wherewithal to come out and ask that question. And then we think about the impostor syndrome and all these kinds of things that's going on here. And we have all this knowledge, but we have to kind of break through that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to really, I think one of the things, it's real. And it's definitely real, not only for Gen Zs and junior employees, it's real for employees of all levels who happen to be people of color. Yeah. Being in, I think even I had at different phases of my career had struggled with that. But I think I began to realize what you said. I began to realize I had enough of leaving a thought on the table only for somebody else to have had the same thought. And then it's like, well, like, I actually had written that down, but I just didn't think it was the right time, or I didn't want to seem like I wasn't a team player. I didn't want to seem like I was upset or angry. And so I think that you have to just understand, like, you're in the room. So when you get invited to a meeting, if they invite you to a meeting, that means there's meetings and there's webinars. Okay. If you're invited to a webinar, maybe it's not interactive. Okay. But you invite, if somebody, you have to, as a brand, you have to value your time. Like, your time is one of your resources, right? So, like, just like brands invest their resources strategically, your time is a resource. So if somebody puts something on your calendar and asks, then you go into that room saying, like, I'm coming here to contribute. I'm coming here to contribute. Now, your contribution may vary based on, like, if you're just going to get briefed on a project, your contribution, you're not going to critique that project right in the moment. Your contribution will be to ask questions to help better understand how you can support it. But if they want to use some of your time, which is, Ron, you have told a lot of people, like, time is the one resource that you can't replenish.
That's right.
They're going to take a non-replenishable resource from you. Then you come in there saying, well, if you're going to invite me, I'd like to contribute. Now, the last thing I'll say on this, because, everybody said, well, Curtis, easy for you. You've been in, marketing.
But you started here.
But I will say, contributions don't always happen in that forum too. So, like, as you're getting comfortable, what I used to do earlier in my career was I would read the room and things like that. And then sometimes I would make my contributions in what I call the hallway conversations.
Yeah.
So as I was getting comfortable in a role or getting comfortable at a company, what I would do is maybe I'd take a note and then I say, I'm going to go chat with this person, as they used to say, offline. I'm going to go chat with this person because maybe I have a question, but I don't want to necessarily put them on the spot because it may be something they thought of. So there's contributions that can happen within the scope of the meeting or the opportunity, or within, like, the immediate pre or post of the meeting. But just make a contribution. That's where you're going to get heard,
You mentioned reading the room, and that's a term I always use. I say you go in with your antenna up. You're looking to see who's talking. You're looking to see who's the power person. Every time they make a comment, you read all of that, and you bring that back and you interpret it. And if you're trying to make an impact, you try and figure out understanding those stakeholders,
right?
And who can I build a better relationship with? Who seems a little off,
right?
You have to be able to pick up on all of that. It's not just a matter of sitting there and listening, but you have to see what a power is inside of an organization.
Well, here's one. That's a great point, Ron. And here's one thing to add to that: reading the room and listening, because sometimes the most powerful person or the most influential person is not in the room that you are in. So, like, the longer I've been in corporate, I've been in more meetings where we were prepping to deliver a message to a stakeholder.
Yeah.
And so what I learned from that is I need to go try to build a relationship with that stakeholder, because that's the value I can bring to that room. Because everybody's saying, well, I've been in these meetings where, you're prepping for a CEO, you're prepping for, and you're not prepping in the sense of, like, trying to impress the CEO as much as, like, you want to be ready for their questions. You want to know their passion points. You want to know, because most times you're asking for resources or you're asking for their support. So you have to know like what's important to them, what's on their mind, like the environmental aspects. So go build a relationship with the person that everybody's prepping for.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's
yeah.
You know, one of my favorite, and maybe this analogy applies, but one of my favorite Kobe Bryant stories is that what he would do is like everybody would say, like the team would be prepping for the competition. So the team would be prepping for Michael Jordan or prepping for Reggie Miller or those kind of, you know, prepping for that. And so what Kobe would go do, whether it was Jordan or Reggie Miller, he would go befriend them, work out with them, so that not only was he going to get better, but then he knew their moves when he was defending. Reggie Miller said, I think Reggie Miller said the story, we got to the finals against, I think they got to the finals, Kobe knew all my moves. So it was like, so that, I mean, it's a little different because you're all working together, but
I understand.
Go get to know, so go get to know that stakeholder that you're prepping for, because they're not in the room, but they're ultimately going to make the decision that's going to empower all those people in the room. Yeah. So if you can say like, well, you know, I was talking with them about this, or I've been kind of looking at where they've been going, or I had a similar presentation to them, you know, it could be really interesting.
So we got a post here got a few posts here. Ben Eubanks says, you're awesome, phenomenal,
Ben,
professional.
My man from all the way back 2010. How you doing, Ben?
Yeah, you're Ben. And Cher, I'll follow up with you on this. So Alex asked the question, how do you read the room when most interactions are virtual? What is your take on that?
That is a great, I mean, Alex, that is, I think it's a little different now. Yeah, you kind of, I think there's still, you can't get the visual cues.
Yes.
Because maybe half the people are not on camera. But I think there's some verbal cues you can get. First, I think you kind of can listen to the questions that are asked to really see the mood of the room. You know, when a proposal's shared in a room and there's questions that kind of poke holes in the proposal, it means that everybody's not on board. So you kind of can see that. I've been in other times where somebody brings it in a virtual meeting and it's like, if there's silence and just like, this is great. So you can read the mood of the room. You can kind of sense that there is consensus. Or you can also sense the tense points that are happening, because what'll happen is people don't argue online in that sense, like kind of go back and forth, but you kind of get we'll take this offline, like things like that. We'll take this offline means it's something that is a pain point or needs to be.
And we got to deal with that in private.
We don't have the time to deal with that, or I'll take that under advisement. You have to, you don't get the benefit of the physical body language and different things like that, and understanding like this person looks angry or this person looks upset or this person is kind of zoning out. But you do get the verbal cues from just like how the discussion is moving, not necessarily who's speaking, because sometimes folks, we have everything going on, so you may be absorbing the meeting, but like you got your kids running around. But just listen for like verbal cues in those virtual meetings.
So my way of looking at that, because I moderate, during COVID, I moderated a lot of conferences, and it was all online.
Okay.
So this would be the panel. I would connect with each panel member a week before.
That's great. That's a great point, Ron.
Send a personal note. See if we can do a quick Zoom call. Just to kind of see where you are, your thoughts on things. And in every panel that I've moderated over the years, and I can't even count to you how many it is, but I've made personal connections to each one of those people.
Ron,
I shared the conversation. Here's the flow. Here's what we're going to talk about. Let me know your thoughts. So I prepped all of this. So when we went live, I knew each person on the call.
Yep. That's a great point. Like I was speaking at an international like virtual marketing conference, and I was going to be on with it was like a fireside chat. And by talking with the person, we had never met before, but realized that we both loved the same music. I mean, we're totally different backgrounds. We had a love for music, and I think particularly like there were certain elements of like classic R&B and hip hop that we both like bonded over. And that became like the basis of our conversation, because in another conversation, Ron, I'll tell you about how I feel about being kind of a brand DJ in the sense that's how I've carried my marketing career. But so we got to talking about that in advance, and then our conversation just flowed. Like it just was like, oh, this was great. Like we felt like we were old buddies, you know?
So another one of my phrases is connect, then you collaborate.
Right.
I just got a LinkedIn message this morning, and it was all about the business. They wanted to collaborate right off the top. Don't even know me from anyone, but they were saying, I need to speak to you about this. Can we jump on a call 15 minutes to discuss so and so? I said, not interested. You don't even know me. You don't even try to know me, but you send us an invitation to LinkedIn to let's talk 15 minutes in my schedule. Nah,
That's that. You can't replenish that resource, bro. You know what's interesting? That is one of the things that is a byproduct of the digital age. Yeah, that people used to build relationships, like really, and I put a lot of emphasis on that. Like, what's crazy, Ron, is like we've known each other for years. Yes, we've only maybe been in the same space once or twice, if that. Yes, but it's because you'll ping me, I'll ping you, like, bro, like I'll see that you've done a conference in Dubai. I'm like, Ron, amazing, brother, like keep doing, and we'll just and then we'll talk of mutual people because you'll be somewhere that I just was, in the States. So it's like that relationship. So then when it was time to do this podcast, it was like,
you just reach out and it
but it's like this relationship. I think that is when we're talking about advising people in their careers. Relationships are important. And now you don't really have an excuse. Like when I was early in my career, what I used to do, this was like right out of college. My favorite magazine was Black Enterprise. Yeah. And Black Enterprise always had a people on the move section. Yeah. Right. So what I would do is I would get the magazine, read the people on the move, and then I would send a handwritten note to those people. And early in my career, I heard back from some amazing people. That's right. Now, what we didn't have at that time was like LinkedIn to stay connected. Because writing was tough. Yeah. But so if I had LinkedIn plus that at the time, but I do that in LinkedIn now, where like a lot of times I will reach out to folks and just it's allowed, like one of the things, it's allowed for the in between time to be easier. Yes. Where like now I can like something you've posted, or I can reach out just to say hi. Like people who follow my career journey have pinged me at different announcements. And so but it was relationships, because you just really never know. And I think you got to cultivate those relationships, because that's where the real kind of collaboration. You're right, connection and collaboration.
It is. So let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back.
Okay.
At Strategy Focused Group, we not only upskill, we inspire, enable, educate, discuss, innovate, motivate, challenge, let us help you elevate your team. Email us at info@strategyfocusedgroup.com.
Welcome back, everyone. So as we begin the process of closing out, tell us an important influence that helped shape you in becoming a leader today.
There've been several, and I just want to name a couple of them. When I was 16. So my mom is an amazing mother. She raised me, and like just really instilled the values and things.
Yeah.
And so she connected me with like institutions and spaces. And so when I was 16, I met my pastor introduced me to a young marketing professional at the time named Nate Miles. And Nate's been my big brother and mentor. Like, I'm much older now.
Yeah, beyond the 60s, right?
When it comes to networking and like being able, I said Nate was LinkedIn before LinkedIn went digital, because like Nate would walk in a room and his magnetism, the way there, and then along the way he's enabled me to meet other leaders. Another leader that I've been impacted by, and it's funny, we just texted yesterday, Jim Senegal, the founder of Costco.
Okay.
He gave me an opportunity when I was going into college to be an intern there, and they helped me with scholarships through grad school. And in the process, I've gotten a chance to spend time with them from time to time. And you'd think someone who leads, who founded $1 billion company and everything like that, but he takes time to reach out and we talk, and his leadership style of like caring about people. Those are two people that jump out. But then there have been tons of people along the way, like leaders I've had, and just I've learned from so many great people, both that I've worked for, that have worked for me, that influences professionally. I've just been blessed to really be around a lot of great people, and I've also been blessed to not have like the type of ego to say that I can't learn from people.
Yeah. Like a sponge. I take it all in. Yeah.
It's funny, like with Ben Eubanks is on here, and one of the things, he's one of the people, he was part of a kind of a very amazing, impactful consortium of like HR voices, right?
Yeah.
And when I came into SHRM, like I knew social and I knew marketing, but I knew nothing about like the HR profession.
Yeah.
And like Ben and the crew, like he was one of the first bloggers we had at our conference.
Okay.
And one of the voices that really, gave like a really important view of what SHRM was doing and not doing. And so like, they took me in to be like, okay, we think that you have like the right vibe for this organization, but we're going to teach you like, we're gonna teach you about the HR profession and like what we're trying to do and some of the things. And I learned so much from them. So that's just one example of like, somebody who's interacting with this podcast right now. You can be like, you learn from everybody.
Yeah, that's cool. So leadership lessons that you've learned over the years.
Yeah. I think one of the things is be humble. Be humble. And especially in my role, I've been in social a long time. Social changes a lot, but I'm humble to know that I don't know everything about social.
Exactly.
And so I've learned to know like my strength in this and the unique value I bring to the table is that I've worked for these different brands. I've been here. I understand how to integrate social thinking into an organization. So like my graduate degree is in political management with a concentration in lobbying. I was going to be a lobbyist or a politician. And so one of the things I've understood is like, that's a value I bring to the table of like being able to get buy-in internally and being able to connect. I usually have millennials and Gen Zs on my team who have amazing ideas. And so all my job is to empower them. As a leader, your job to empower, and you don't always lead from the front. Sometimes it's just for me to step back. Like I've gotten more comfortable in my career in knowing that the decisions I make, who's on my team, speaks just as much to me as the work I individually do. So if I get really great team members, like everybody thinks of Phil Jackson as a great coach, and he is a great coach, but because he had to coach high value, high talented people, help put together great teams. Steve Kerr and all these other people, like you putting together a great team and being able to take that team and make it cohesive and tap into their potential, and tap into their potential to win. Like those are the leadership lessons that I learned, and just be humble and say, like, the coach is not going to have as many social media followers as the players.
Exactly.
You're having a great impact. So that those relationships, like, be humble. Sometimes understand, bring people onto your team that, know more than you on certain areas and can implement and can augment what you have. And then always, be open to learning. Never reach a finite state where you think you know everything about your area of expertise, because that's when you're no longer really
that's the number one leadership blind spot. That is the number one leadership blind spot, that I think I know everything. So I do leadership development projects across the globe. I have one coming up in Bangkok, then I have another one coming up in Ghana. And one of the things that I talk about is exactly what you were, being humble. And the most powerful word you can always say is that I don't know the answer to that. But you know what? Let's get our heads together and figure out something.
Right. Yeah, I could get you there.
If you could feel comfortable doing that, you're on your way.
That is, Ron, you just dropped a gem, as they say. But that is, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So what's next?
What's next? We're building some amazing things at 23andMe. Stay tuned. I'm so excited. Like, the team I have is amazing, and you're going to see some amazing things there. We didn't talk about it much, but it's fine.
Let's stop for one second. Give me 23andMe, because people hear that brand and they don't really know what that is. So give us kind of a short synopsis as to what 23andMe is.
Yeah, what 23andMe does is really help people understand and kind of unlock the knowledge that exists in the human genome.
Yeah.
So I sounded real scientific there, but the way I understand it, but your DNA unlocks a lot of information. And so what 23andMe has been most known for in kind of pop culture is that your DNA can unlock relatives and DNA relatives that you have that you're not, and it may unlock, it also unlocks kind of your heritage, where you're from, and the different things like that. Where it's going and why I'm excited is that same information, or that same DNA, has information about your health. That if you plug that into your lifestyle and environment and your medical history and all those different things, you can really look at your health differently. Whether you look at your relationship with your doctor, because now you can give them this other information that may impact, how doctors ask, like, do you have this family history of this? This actually helps you kind of with that vibe. But then also you can understand, ways that, things you may have a predilection to, that maybe you need to make some lifestyle adjustments to, and really get kind of personalized medicine. Is kind of where everything is going. And so, and the thing that got me there too, was they have a tremendous commitment to eliminating some of the disparities that exist in how people receive healthcare based on where they live, who they are, their socioeconomic status. So it's just a really exciting time. And so, like, I like the culture there. I think all these experiences I've had up to date,
this kind of came to,
So I'm really excited. And so everybody stay tuned and see what we're going to do.
Okay, I want to ask one more question. I know we're coming up on time, but one more point I wanted to make, because what got me there, purpose-driven organization.
Yeah.
People joined because of the purpose. Like, I had a great job, but what they were trying to do beyond the revenue stream, quarterly numbers, KPIs.
Right.
Here's what hooked me to that. Give us, through the marketing lens, a purpose-driven approach for an organization.
Well, first you have to understand, one of the things, everything is about, for a lot of folks in marketing, is business impact.
Yeah.
And so in order for them to really make a true investment, they have to see the business impact. And so the business impact is that younger customers are gravitating towards brands that have a purpose.
Yes.
They're buying the product as a result of the brand's purpose.
Yeah.
And so I think that understanding that, and so that's just as important as the product features you have. What is the purpose? Why do you exist? What do you stand for? There's studies out there that show that millennials follow brands where the CEO takes a stand on issues. And I think that, I'm in a place now, a company now that really is passionate about their purpose in the world.
Yes.
And so that inspires me as a marketer to know that I can contribute to that purpose. And at the end of the day, have, the things that I do, every social post that I send might inspire somebody to explore us. And in that personal exploration, maybe in that personal exploration, they discover something that changes their life and their health. And if that's scaled a lot, you know, then I've created a purpose, and I've contributed to that purpose. And that's what I'm striving for in my career at this point.
Okay, cool. My man, thank you so much for taking time for us, and tell your daughters that I want to thank them too, because I know you were in the process of getting them off to school. So
shout out to my wife, Dr. Melinda Midkiff, and my daughter Corinne, who gave me a kiss, and that like really inspired me to make this interview good. She said she was going to tell all her friends at summer camp that her dad's on TV. And then my son Sam, who just turned 4 and kind of reserved his exuberance for the van with his mom. And so you didn't really hear that today. So
okay, cool. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Hang on for a minute as we close out.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, man.
All right.